These stories are inspired by the actual case files of the Office of Scientific Investigation and Research.
Buddy. Kyle? Told you not to do that. Honey, it's after midnight and... Whose dog is that?
It's Buddy.
No, the other one.
That's Buddy, too.
Kyle Hill, if you have somebody else's dog, does it have tags?
Mom, they're both Buddy. See? Here, Buddy. Now we have 2 dogs.
Okay, we'll figure all this out in the morning. Right now, I want to get you up to bed, okay?
As children, we all brought home creatures that didn't belong in the house, like bugs, frogs, mice, or even stray pets. Our parents were compelled then to inquire about the origins of these newfound treasures. 8-year-old Kyle Hill's mother had to obtain the answer to such a question. But the last thing she could imagine was that what began as a simple domestic matter would radically change her and her son's life forever. Case number 623119. One of the most intriguing events I have ever seen documented in the files of the OSIR.
And we'll try again tomorrow to figure out whose dog it is, okay?
Mom, it's Buddy. There's just 2 of them. Isn't that great?
No, it's not great. Would you be happy if you lost your dog and somebody else was keeping it?
No.
Okay, then. And you try and stay in bed tonight, mister. All right?
Okay.
Who's there? Kyle, what in God's name are you doing?
Case Manager Connor Doyle. We've arrived 80 miles outside of Wichita, Kansas to investigate a reported case of life form replication. Preliminary interviews proceeding.
When those boys came through that door, I nearly fell out of my chair. I've known Joan Hill for 20 years. Delivered Kyle myself. I'm telling you, there was only one of them. There was no twin.
Since his father died, it's just been the two of us, me and Kyle, out here together. He's always been a thoughtful child, imaginative, you know? Well, first it was the pets, and then my son. They were duplicated. I don't know what else to call it. So we've got 2 hamsters, goldfish, dogs. Kyle says that his friends made them as a gift.
Don't you guys get it? They only want to know us better, understand how we work. They're not like us. They don't screw around with stuff. They're sort of like you guys. They're scientists. I mean, they don't force anything on anybody. Not that it's a bad thing they did. It's, I don't know, it's pretty incredible if you think about it.
How soon will we know what happened to Kyle?
We're conducting an initial inspection of the house and surrounding area. After that, we'll move on to the next phase.
Next phase?
Well, Miss Hill, we take a very methodical approach to our work. It's the only way to get the best results.
We need time to gather any information that could tell us what happened.
All 4 of my monitors are even right now.
You told us that you found the 2 boys in the barn that night. Was there anyone or anything else in the barn at the time?
Not that I saw. God, I told you this already. I don't remember, okay? But, Kyle, was there anything else in the barn that night? Kyle!
Yes, Mom.
I just want to know which boy is mine.
The initial inspection is complete. The place is clean. There is no evidence to suggest either a hoax or a paranormal event at this time.
Just 2 boys and several animals that appear to be exactly alike.
My initial interviews with both boys didn't indicate any intentional deception. They both appear to believe what they're saying. Same memories, same points of view.
Same story?
Aliens came and cloned them.
Mrs. Hill seems extremely disturbed by the incident. I presume whatever she saw triggered some psychological trauma.
I have a feeling she's seen more than she's able to tell us. Remember not to look at the light. Just let the light make your eyes feel very, very heavy. And when I move it down, they close. Joan, I want you to go back to August the 12th. What woke you that night?
Sounds. I heard voices. I went out to check on Kyle. Kyle? Kyle? Kyle, what's going on?
What is it, Joan? What's happening? Well, we got you all hooked up with everything, haven't we? Now, let's see. What do you think of that helmet? Pretty fancy, huh? Feel like you're an astronaut?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just going to ask a few questions. Now, tell me, what's your full name?
Kyle Aaron Hill.
Tell me your full name.
Kyle Aaron Hill.
And what's your mom's name?
Joan.
How long have you lived in this house?
Since I was born, 8 years ago.
Now, tell me, where is your father?
He died.
When was that?
He was killed in a car accident 3 years ago.
Well, let's talk about something else.
Okay.
Do you remember your 5th birthday?
My dad took me somewhere where I could ride a horse. It smelled really bad, and it was rust-colored. It was kind of wild. It threw me off, and I broke my arm right here.
Ouch.
Here.
Yeah, you got a scar. All right, just relax. Just look over my shoulder. Just relax. And now you're getting sleepy and down.
They want to examine Buddy for a while, asking if I want a dog just like him. I can see them. They want me to come outside.
Are you afraid of them?
No.
What do they look like?
They look like the kids who age really fast that I saw on the Science Channel. They're short, shorter than me, and gray all over.
Did you want them to clone you?
Yeah, it'd be cool. I could hang around with someone besides my mom.
Do you know how they do it?
No.
Which one of you is the original Kyle, and which one of you is the new Kyle?
I'm Kyle. I'm Kyle.
Voice print analysis. It's not as widely used, but it's more exact in identification than fingerprint technology. Even identical twins show marked differences.
This, combined with fingerprinting and blood samples, should tell us whether or not they're twins.
Let me know the minute the results are in.
Well, the DNA and blood tests are comparable.
Are they the same?
Within an extremely small margin of error.
Duplicated pets also showed an uncharacteristically similar physiology.
Connor, take a look at this.
What is it?
It's results of the fingerprint analysis.
And? Oh my God. He really is a clone.
Case log update. With the death of one of the animals in the last 24 hours, we've shifted our investigation towards explaining the cause of death. Cooper, what happened?
I gotta admit, I've never done an autopsy on a goldfish before.
How about a hamster?
Case log update. With the death of two of the animals, we're increasing the level of surveillance. Environmental scans for hazmat ongoing.
I realize how invasive this feels, but it will allow us to watch carefully your biological status. And under the circumstances, it's vital.
Why are the animals dying?
We're checking that out. We don't know for now, but in a few hours we might be able to tell you more.
But why us? What do we do?
Your reaction is natural. But however hard it gets, please, it's very important that you remain as calm as possible. For Kyle's sake.
Doctor, is it the clones that are dying? Or is it...
We don't know. Even though their time with one another has been short, sharing identical memories the way they do means that the connection between the two boys is extraordinarily intimate. If one of them should die, the damage to the survivor could be quite serious.
Anything from the autopsies on the animals yet?
Well, I wasn't able to determine the cause of death of the goldfish. Its system just shut down. This hamster, on the other hand, died of a viral infection. Fluid built up in its lungs. It's not an unusual cause of death for a rodent, but in this case, it happened quite suddenly.
How are the dogs?
Well, so far, there's no sign of illness.
The lifespan of a hamster is about 2 years.
And a dog's is about 15. I know, I've been thinking about that. It's possible there's some correlation between the natural lifespan of the animal and the time it takes these symptoms to show up.
Connor, I think we may have something. We've been reviewing the physiological data we collected from the first exam of the 2 boys.
Go ahead.
Although we tested HLA antigens and B-cell antibodies for matches, we didn't test T-cell activity. It didn't seem relevant at the time.
And now?
One of the boys doesn't have T-cells in his system.
No T cells.
And T-cells fight viral infections.
How common is a T-cell deficiency?
In an otherwise healthy individual? Extremely uncommon.
So we may have found a way to differentiate between the 2 boys.
But does the deficiency go with the clone or with Kyle?
Remember when we found him?
Up by the woodshed.
He was some kind of scraggly mess.
You didn't want him in the house, I remember that.
Oh, I love Buddy.
I think he's sick now, too.
Look, Kyle, I'm sorry if I've been strange. How are you feeling anyway? You okay?
I'm fine.
Oh, no, honey, I was talking to Kyle.
But, Mom, I am Kyle.
Case log update. In an attempt to clarify what may have caused the phenomenon, I've requested Dr. Hendricks perform a second session of regressive hypnosis with Joan Hill.
I want you to go back to that night, Joan. That night that you first saw Kyle and his twin.
Voices. I can hear them.
Is it Kyle's voice?
There's too many of them. It's all garbled. Not making sense. I have to go to him.
I want you to look into the light, Joan. Tell me what you see.
They're everywhere.
Who are?
Kyle's friends. They're little aliens. Oh my God. What are they doing to my son?
All right, Joan, come out of this slowly. You will wake and remember everything that you have just seen. You understand?
Oh my God. Kyle. Oh, what did they do to you?
Her account of the extraterrestrials corroborates the boy's story.
There's just not enough physical evidence to back up their testimony. How's Mrs. Hill's psychological condition?
Improved. Once she realized that each of the Kyles believes that he's the real one, and in fact is the real Kyle, her attitude changed altogether.
In what way?
Well, now she's calling them Kyle Aaron and Aaron Kyle.
I see. Cooper, what have you found out?
Mycobacterium tuberculosis. This animal's dying of pneumonia. I've already started him on a cocktail of antibiotics.
What about the boys?
Probably just a matter of time before one of them starts to show symptoms.
Why is this happening?
Whoever or whatever did this must have used the original organism's base DNA as a source.
Then somehow developed an accelerated growth process in which the clone could reach the desired age.
So we have no idea how they could do that, nor can we explain how they could transfer memory from one organism to another.
Would it explain the lack of T-cells?
In the rapid development of this clone, it's possible that the T-cell maturation process was unintentionally bypassed. The sick ones are the clones.
Or in the duplication process, the T cells were stripped from the original Kyle. The important thing is to isolate the T cell deficient child immediately. Case log update. In an effort to supply T cells to the deficient boy, we've recommended proceeding with a bone marrow transplant, an operation normally complicated by tissue and blood matching. In this case, of course, the donor and the recipient are exact matches in every way.
Dr. Kerwin, code yellow. Dr. Kerwin, code yellow. Dr. Marks to the East Lobby. Dr. Marks to the East Lobby.
How are you holding up?
I'm sure everything's gonna be fine. I'm just exhausted.
Professor?
Excuse me. What is it?
It's the dog. Cooper couldn't save it.
When?
Dr. Stewart?
Just now. The infection is too advanced.
Final case log entry. During the last 2-month observation period, we've been unable to further substantiate the claims of extraterrestrial experimentation. However, we leave satisfied that we helped rectify the physical and emotional health of the Hill family. Case manager Connor Doyle, out.
Now, officially, the OSIR has labeled this case unresolved. However, evidence seems to indicate the intervention of benevolent extraterrestrial beings who rewarded Kyle with a brother in return for providing source material for their advanced cloning experiments. And in doing so, they fulfilled his deepest wish. There's an old saying that goes, be careful what you wish for because you might just get it. While it may sound like an ominous warning, surely it wasn't intended to stop us from wishing altogether.
You're on time. Did you remember the red wine?
That I remembered. Unfortunately, I can't remember who we invited, but...
Very funny. Marnie, go up and get your sister. I need help setting the table.
Clara! Mom wants you!
I said get your sister.
Clara, wake up!
Clara? Mom wants you downstairs.
Tell Mom I'm busy.
Can you put these out, hon? Where's your sister?
She's with her friend.
What friend?
Her friend.
Clara? I didn't know you had anyone over.
Mom, Dad, meet Bobby.
Hi. Well, we haven't met. In fact, well, I didn't see you come in.
Well, nice to see you, Bobby. Are you staying for dinner?
Are you in Clara's class?
Bobby says it's been really great to see you guys finally, but she has to go.
Specters, full audible and visual apparitions of human figures which seem to materialize out of thin air and just as quickly vanish. Now, research indicates that they may be residual traces of souls reluctant to move on permanently through the veil which separates this world from the next. Now, the Office of Scientific Investigation and Research is frequently called upon to document occurrences of this nature, but some cases are truly exceptional, as in file number 847117, the case of Clara's friend.
This is so stupid.
Mom, I don't want to leave.
That's enough, Clara. I'm sorry, but are you sure there's no problem?
Yes, darling. I'll call you in the morning. Don't worry.
Thanks, Tammy. We really appreciate it. So, Mario, when can you get here?
Come on, girls, get in.
So it happened here.
Yeah. And she went right through the window.
And disappeared. I mean, Mario, it was incredible.
It scared the hell out of us.
You realize I just dabble in the world of paranormal. I'm not an expert.
Right now, you're all we've got.
Okay. Now, was this incident preceded by any other unusual activity? Were there any gusts of cold air, tapping sounds?
No, not that I know of.
She came out of the blue, no warning. And suddenly there was this strange girl in my daughter's room and then poof, vanished.
Did the ghost try to communicate with you in any way?
No, I don't think so.
And I'm not so sure she was a ghost. I mean, she was as real as you and me standing here. But it happened. I mean, she vanished, right?
Huh? That's her.
What'd we do?
Hello there. I'm Professor Mario Humes. I teach psychology at the university with Mr. Preston here. Who are you?
How do you know my daughter?
Let me handle this, Mrs. Preston. Now, miss, you're scaring these people here. Why don't you come over here and sit down and tell us all about it?
File number 847117. Case manager Curtis Rollins. Confirming arrival at the Preston residence to investigate an alleged haunting. Preliminary interviews underway.
I'm Tom Frederick.
Yes, Preston.
This is our case manager, Curtis Rollins.
In the past couple of weeks, I'd seen her around. With Clara, though, always with Clara. And other than the weird clothes the ghost wore, she was neat. You see, Clara doesn't have very many friends, you know? She keeps to herself a bit, kind of a loner. I was just glad to see she was hanging out with someone.
So when George and I showed up for dinner that night, Belinda and Dennis were in absolute panic, rushing around, getting the kids packed up and out the door. You'd think they'd seen the devil himself. They were terrified. And, you know, I mean, I guess I understand their concern if you believe their story.
Why do we have to stay over here? Can't we just stay at our place?
I'd just like to ask you a few questions about your friend, okay?
Her name's Bobby, and she's not just a friend. She's my best friend. I don't know what the big deal is. We just talk and stuff.
Do you know Bobby's last name?
Never asked, I guess.
Did you meet her at school?
Mm-mm. She just showed up one day in our backyard.
When was that?
It was the same day I got a 98 on my English exam. She was real impressed. 3 weeks ago yesterday.
That was September 9. Tell me, what sorts of things do you talk about?
Just the usual stuff. She's not from around here, you know.
Is she from another country?
No. She's just different. And you want to know the coolest thing?
What?
We don't have to speak out loud. I can hear her thoughts.
Why do you think that is, Clara?
Because we're special. That's why.
I asked her if she'd seen Bobby since she's been staying at the neighbor's house.
And?
They're only able to meet at the Preston residence. Clara's really anxious to go home and see her new friend, but her parents
Are insisting that Clara and Marnie stay clear of the house until we fulfill our case objective.
Which is?
Mr. and Mrs. Preston are requesting we correct or terminate the phenomenon.
This friend is really important to Clara. In fact, her parents have said they'd noticed a distinct change in her personality recently.
How so?
Well, she's happier, more outgoing. She's finally starting to blossom, was how they put it.
And since Marnie and Clara were taken to the neighbor's home, Clara has become distant and depressed. It's definitely having an effect on her.
Let's proceed with an on-site inspection. See if we can meet Clara's friend.
I spoke to the neighbors on both sides. Apparently, they haven't seen or heard anything unusual, although...
What?
Mrs. Kepler, she's a neighbor to the north. She's got to be at least 90 years old. She recalls having seen Clara talking to a young girl in the backyard. That was early last week. Normally, she wouldn't give it another thought. But what struck her was how this girl was dressed.
What was she wearing?
Apparently, it was a dress that Mrs. Kepler says she would have worn when she was a teenager. It was an unusual cut. It had a high collar. It looked to be straight out of the 20s.
Let me guess. You tied it up at the waist with a thin belt.
Good guess.
Security. Is perimeter secure? Attention team. We have a guest in the hall.
She was right there. We all witnessed the girl, but she's not visible in any of the still photographs.
Or the recorded video footage.
During the next phase of the investigation, we'll activate infrared thermal imaging, magnetic field monitoring. She's in there.
We just have to find a way of recording her.
What happened during regressive hypnosis?
Something noteworthy. Could you hand me the remote? This is an audio recording of Clara's responses during the session. Clara, you're speaking with your friend, Bobby.
Yes, in my head.
But neither of you are moving your lips.
No, it's so cool.
Show me what she sounds like. What is she saying right now? Pay close attention to this.
What I'd give for a bluebonnet cherry cola. What's that? I've never heard of it. If you come with me, Clara, I could show you. Come with you? Where? Come with me, back to my place. We can be friends forever.
First, and I'm embarrassed to say I know this, bluebonnet cherry cola has not been manufactured in this country or any country since 1943.
Secondly, the analysis of Clara's version of Bobby's voice indicates someone who was educated during the 1920s.
Very well. Who is Bobby? And where does she want to take Clara?
Bobby? Wait, don't go! Bobby, wait for me! Wait! Bobby!
File update, 0900 hours. Since our arrival, team members have had first-hand contact with the phenomenon on 6 separate occasions. Round-the-clock environmental and audio-video surveillance has been established. Next transmission in 8 hours. I'm going inside.
We'll be watching.
Okay, we got you now. Come in, Rollins. Anything to report?
Negative. It's pretty quiet today.
I'm going to go review some of the data collected thus far, including the witnesses' testimonials.
Copy. Continuing my tour of residence.
Something's happening. Rollins' heart rate and stress sensors are rising rapidly.
Curtis, what is it?
She's directly ahead. About 6 to 8 feet away from me. Confirm.
Negative.
As far as we can tell, you're alone.
You see her, don't you?
Readouts on both investigators are identical. They're both going through something dramatic.
Infrared, thermal scanning, seismography, all negative. Unfortunately, they're seeing something that we're not.
Well, baseline level's normal. It's like she's not really here, but she is.
What just occurred?
Case log update. Historical and background checks revealed a living descendant of a previous owner of the Preston home, one Dawn Hinton.
Amount of possibilities. One day it was a ship, and another a castle.
And how often did you come and visit your great-grandmother?
Every summer until I was 10, I think. Yeah, that's when she had to sell the house and move over to Park Hill.
I understand your Nana's name was Barbara Winston?
Well, she was married. But everyone just called her Bobby. Look, I have to get back. My 2-month-old is with her daddy, and the nap time is just about over. Here's the old photos and stuff that you asked for. I really hope that they help you with your research project.
Thanks, it's a big help. Just one more question before you go. When did Bobby pass away?
Oh, she's still alive. Unfortunately, she suffered a stroke. She's been in a coma for about 3 weeks now.
Why are we here?
There's someone I want you to meet.
Why? And when can we go back to our house? I want to see Bobby again.
Clara, you have to understand we're trying really hard to find out where Bobby came from.
I know Bobby's not normal like everyone else, but she's real. More real than people know.
Here's our room.
Dawn, this is Dr. Hendricks. And this is my friend Clara.
Hello.
How's her condition?
They said she's getting weaker.
Sorry. Clara, have you ever met Miss Corbett before?
She looks kind of familiar. But no, I don't think so. She's your grandmother?
My great-grandmother. She's a really special person, my Nan. And this is Beatrice, Nana's great-great-granddaughter.
When did Barbara revert back to her maiden name?
Only recently. She was so depressed after Doug died, it's like she was going back in time. I found something you might find interesting.
What's that?
I was digging through the garage, and I found Bobby's diary.
This woman's name is Bobby?
This is home movie footage taken of 16-year-old Barbara Corbett. The film is dated 1931, and tests on the negative silver nitrate confirm that date.
Well, that's the same girl I saw in the hallway.
And the one we all saw on the stairs.
The film was apparently shot on the afternoon of her 16th birthday. I cross-referenced this with the entry that Barbara made on that date in her diary. Today was the happiest day of my life. I turned 16 finally, but best of all, I met the most wonderful young man, Douglas Winston. He has invited me to the show this Saturday. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to sleep again.
16 and in love.
She was tricky to track down because she changed her name from Winston back to Corbett after he passed away 4 months ago.
The hospital informs us that Barbara slipped into a deep depression following her husband's death. And that condition deteriorated until she suffered a stroke.
Since Barbara is alive, albeit in a comatose state, it appears we are dealing with an out-of-body experience. Young Bobby could be a form of involuntary subatomic transmission.
Or a psi-based haunt. Focused psychokinetic astral projection in the form of what Barbara says in her diary. The happiest day of her life.
Curtis, I propose an experiment. We move the Prestons back into their home and ask Clara to try to convince Bobby to return to her corporeal state.
Lindsay, that could prove fatal for the old woman. The joy she may be receiving from this out-of-body experience may be the only thing keeping her alive.
As well, the loss of a friend could prove traumatic for Clara.
But neither Barbara nor Clara are thriving in this situation. I feel it's our best course of action.
Agreed. But let's monitor the experiment carefully. Hendricks, we have visuals. You copy?
Affirmative.
The Preston family have just re-entered their residence. We'll keep you informed.
Where is she? It's been hours.
Don't worry, Claire. We've all seen Bobby. I don't think she's gone anywhere.
I want to believe you, but I'm scared I'm never going to see her again.
Hey, you just try and relax, okay? And I'm gonna stay with you. All right? Come on.
Here we go. Donner, confirm status of apparition.
She's here.
What are they doing?
They appear to be talking, but I can't hear them.
Go to level 5. Try and communicate with the apparition.
Barbara? Barbara Corbett? What are you talking about?
She's telling me about this guy she's met, Doug. He sounds wonderful.
What's she saying?
She misses him. She misses so many things from her life.
Donner, commence with the experiment.
Would you do something for me, Clara?
What?
Remind Bobby about Dawn's baby.
Beatrice? Why?
Because that's Bobby's great-great-granddaughter. Dawn misses Bobby, and she'd really like Beatrice to see her Nana. It's okay. Go ahead, Clara.
Hendricks,
Standing by.
the experiment is underway.
You think this is best? But I'll miss you.
I'll miss you too. You're the best friend I ever had.
Come with me. Let's be friends. Forever.
I'd love that. But I belong here, with my family. And you belong with your family.
I know, but...
Don't worry. It's the right thing to do.
Case number 847117. We remained on the site for an additional 2 weeks after our experiment. The Prestons report no further visitations from the apparition they came to know as Bobby. Barbara Corbett appears to have made a remarkable recovery. However, she has no recollection of her ethereal visits. Rollins, out.
Clara Preston's friend was indeed an ethereal apparition, but not that of a deceased human being. It was the spiritual projection of a living elderly woman whose subconscious was attempting to recapture happier past times. Perhaps the lesson Barbara Corbett learned is one we should all embrace. Appreciate the past, but live for the future. And the future is our children. I'm Dan Aykroyd. This is Sci-Fact.